Joining us right now is Lieutenant Colonel Tony Shaffer, excuse me. I did it. I didn't mean to. Lieutenant Colonel Tony Shaffer, and he's a CIA-trained former senior intelligence officer and also the New York Times bestselling author of Operation Dark Heart, Spycraft and Special Operations on the Front Lines of Afghanistan and the Path to Victory. All right. Lieutenant Colonel, thanks for joining us today.
Hey, thanks for having me. Good to be on.
We got to talk about ISIS, this offshoot of al-Qaeda that was really born out of the turmoil in Syria and has now spread all the way into Afghanistan. And, of course, this week released the video of the disgusting...
You mean Iraq.
Iraq, did I say? What did I say?
Afghanistan.
Afghanistan, Iraq, excuse me, thank you. They released this video of this barbaric beheading of James Foley, an American journalist. Many are saying that this is a declaration of war on America. Do you agree with that?
Well, we are at war, Larry. I think the president seems to be thinking that somehow his talking his way out of this, trying to treat them with some sort of undue respect, is going to somehow dissuade them. And I don't think he understands, Larry, that this is the antichrist of terrorist organizations. These people are committed to not only slaughtering anybody who disagrees with them on the Christian side. They're going at the Sunni religion, which is their sect. They're going after the Sunni as much as anyone else, anyone who doesn't agree with them. So this is a war that ISIS has chosen to take on the world. So I don't care how anybody else terms it. There's a war on, and we need to figure out how we're going to win it.
Well, you just said something that really troubles me because I've heard it from a few commentators, and I really just want to peel back on it. You started to say, I don't think he understands, talking about the president. And is that rhetoric? Do you truly think he doesn't understand, or he comprehends that ISIS is a problem, but not really our problem?
Well, Larry, he's been briefed on everything that's going on, and he portends this junior varsity mentality that we're not really up against the A team. And let me tell you, we've known for at least 6 months now that these people have been gaining momentum. So I don't know how to explain it, but I know that he has more information than I do, and it's more detailed. And simply put, we who are on the outside looking in, who get tidbits now and then, have seen this for a while.
Yeah.
I cannot explain his lack of candor or clarity regarding the threat, and I can even less explain his lack of interest in actually doing something decisive to go and counter these folks.
Yeah.
It seems that what we're doing militarily is that we're sending in small groups of people in dribs and drabs. Am I correct, Larry? I think I saw it yesterday. Even more people are going into Iraq now. More military folks are going into Iraq.
Yeah, he just increased under the guise of protecting our embassy.
Yeah, okay, so we're sending in more people. We're sending in more people. Do we have enough to get the job done, or is it a measured, tepid response to what many people look at as a very serious threat?
Brian, it's tepid, and yes, they've been sneaking more and more people in, but no, we're not ahead of it. And let me be clear on it. One of the things that's very clear now is that ISIS does not see a border between Syria and Iraq, nor should we. Decisively, we need to go in and destroy their command and control in Syria. They've been staying in Syria, at least their leaders have, knowing that we're reluctant to go into Syria to do anything. We need to get over that. Otherwise, gentlemen, you're going to see Vladimir Putin sending his aircraft over Iran, doing airstrikes in Syria where we won't. And let me tell you, that will upend all sorts of balance of power things globally. And by the way, that'll put Putin in a great light with everybody, making him a hero again. So we've got to get on top of this. These people are out to destroy every nation in the region, those we agree with, those we do not. And if we don't do something now to get ahead of them, and Brian, that's your great point, we need to get ahead of them. We need to do overwhelming strength now, not when it's too late for us to be effective.
All right, on the issue of this beheading of the journalist, Mr. Foley, look, some social media groups have decided that they're not going to show it. I think most notably it is Twitter and YouTube have decided they're not going to show it or allow it to be shown, and Facebook has decided that it should. Larry and I had a conversation about this earlier, and I think we're both of the opinion that although it's horrific, that it probably would not be a bad thing for the American people to be allowed to see, because it gives you some real insight to the nature of the barbarism of our enemy.
And points out President Obama's error of saying these people do not have any ill will or do not intend to have any danger to Americans, which is clearly not the case. No, Brian, I'm with you. Don't forget, Daniel Pearl was also beheaded in Pakistan early in the war on terror. So
yes,
I think it's important to recognize the nature of the threat and the nature of what these people really stand for. This is truly barbaric. It's simply beyond the pale. And I think the more the American people understand what we're up against, the more they will support military action. We're not talking about an invasion. We're not talking about going back in masse. I've put forth the idea of going in like we did in Afghanistan. We were able to defeat the Taliban initially in 42 days using the Northern Alliance. We have effective boots on the ground. They're called the Peshmerga. All we have to, and with what little support we've already given them, they've already taken back the Mosul Dam. They're making progress. And for goodness sake, let's throw in with the winners, our side of the winners, and continue to do that. Otherwise, we will see ISIS continue to gain ground. And as the Pentagon said last Monday, we cannot defeat ISIS from the air. We've got to do more, and we've got to do it now.
Our guest is Lieutenant Colonel Tony Shaffer, a CIA-trained former senior intelligence officer, and your book that you wrote is all about special ops, and you just alluded to special ops being the key to victory here. Brian had asked, are we doing enough to get the job done? Can we properly define exactly what the job is that needs to be done? Because most analysts I hear say, listen, there's no way to contain a group like ISIS. They have to be destroyed.
They do, and we've actually, on LeninCenter.org, my organization, we've actually put forth a briefing on this to Congress. We've been actually working with multiple members of Congress. We're in with Joe Wilson, in with Carrie Bentivolio the other day. There's a number of members of Congress who really do want to come up with a strategy if the White House will not. And Larry, that's the point. You need to establish goals and objectives and then use resources to match to those goals and objectives. The president's not done that. And it baffles me why, because I'm hearing from my friends in the Pentagon, they are giving him every single option way ahead of time. And let me give you a little secret here. The reason that raid into Syria failed to get Foley and those guys is because the president drugged his feet. He waited too long. The intel got stale. And by the time we actually gave the go word, it failed because we just didn't react quick enough. So we've got to get ahead of them, to Brian's point. We've got to get ahead of the curve. And until we actually figure out what our objectives are, use our resources, match our resources to the objectives, we're going to continue to play catch-up. And let me tell you, I don't think we want to see more people getting killed in either side. We're talking about ethnic cleansing to a level that has not been seen since World War II at the rate they're going.
All right. Listen, we really appreciate hearing from you, Lieutenant Colonel Tony Shaffer. You've given us a lot to talk about. In fact, we want to hear from. Thank you for joining us, sir.
Sure.